Hello, friends. Welcome to Operation Remote Resilience. My name is Kelly Campbell, and I am here to guide you through a 30-minute restorative yoga practice. For restorative yoga, we will move very slowly, very intentionally, also incorporating in some props that I'll go over in just a moment. But the focus of restorative yoga in that moving slowly, holding postures for an extended period of time is to help nourish both our bodies and our minds in addition to our spirits. So I am grateful that you have decided to join me for today's experience, and let's go ahead and go over our props. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the Warriors at Ease YouTube channel. That way you can stay up to date on everything offered through Warriors at Ease, yoga practices and meditation practices. My props that I have next to me are to help facilitate more ease and comfort in the physical body. By providing more ease and comfort in the physical body, that can translate to more ease and comfort in the mind, the spirit, and you can walk away from your practice feeling really refreshed and restored and rejuvenated, which, hello, we could all use a little bit more of, just speaking from a personal perspective. For these props, you can grab the same items if you do have these yoga-specific props available. However, no need to worry if you don't. You can utilize anything with that in your space. Pillows, towels, cushions, blankets, things of that nature that can help facilitate that same support, nourishment, and ease within the physical body. I have a blanket. I have two larger yoga blocks. I have an eye pillow. If you do not have an eye pillow, absolutely okay. You can reach for a hand towel or a washcloth, dry, and you can fold it over and place it directly over the forehead and eyes. This can be quite nice during a final relaxation shavasana component of your practice, because even if you are in an indoor space, sometimes we still have light pollution coming through windows, depending on what time of day it is. Additionally, you may have electronics around you, whether that be from a computer or a screen, in addition to clocks, lamps, things of that nature. So by placing this pillow over the eyes and forehead, that just blocks out that additional light, which can help ease and nourish the body, can also move the nervous system into our rest and digest versus fight or flight. So washcloth, hand towel works well. And two yoga blocks. If you don't have yoga blocks, absolutely okay. Something that is firm and sturdy that you can place underneath like blankets or your pillows and bolsters. Just sometimes you like a little bit of additional support, and blocks can really provide that in a firm and grounding fashion. All right, so we've gone over all of our props and items. If you don't have a yoga mat, that's okay. You can always practice on just a carpeted space. If you don't have a carpeted space, you can unroll a bath towel just so you have a little bit of support underneath the body, and to designate like this is my practice space, which can be really comforting and nourishing to the body as well when you step onto a mat or a designated surface that you're like, okay, and for the next 30 minutes, this is my practice space where I'm going to breathe and move and make some shapes, and just allow yourself to pause in whatever way that means for you. For clothing, if you've ever Googled yoga, you can see a variety of different physical shapes, in addition to a variety of different clothing apparel out there. Wear what's comfortable. Could be sweatpants and a t-shirt. If you're looking for some additional clothing to add to your yoga wardrobe, Warriors at Ease does have its own clothing. So we've got some shirts and tank tops available that you can incorporate into your attire. So check out the Warrior ZD's website for all of those types of goodies as well. Let us begin in a comfortable seated position. Any shape that calls to you. You can have the legs bent with knees bent with legs crossed, much like I do, or you can send the legs out front. You can utilize a prop or not, your choice. I'm going to double over my blanket and sit atop it, just to provide some additional elevation for the hips, which in my body feels more comfortable. And that's our goal and intention for today's time together, is ease and comfort, right? The human experience is challenging enough as it is and comes with enough discomfort as it is. No need to force yourself to make any specific shapes, a cue for something that you're like, not now. I don't need that. Guess what? Always an option to opt out. You're in control of this practice. I am merely a guide, and I am filled with gratitude that you have decided to join me. In our comfortable seated position, we bring hands palms down to either thighs or knee space. Eyes can be opened or closed. If you opt to keep your eyes open, perhaps you want to scan your environment. Not very often that we give ourselves the permission to take in all of the various layers to our present moment and environment. The way that the light enters the space, perhaps the different textures of the surfaces. Once you've taken those few moments just to scan your environment, if you decide, you can always close the eyes or just gently drop the gaze towards the space in front of you. Allow the breath to enter and exit the body at a rhythm that feels best for you. No rush, no hurry. Two more rounds. Inhale. And exhale. One more. Inhale. And exhale. We're going to move through some gentle motion just to allow the body an opportunity to move. And then we'll make our way into our first shape of the practice. So as you maintain your seated position, if you notice any discomfort within the physical body, give yourself permission to make those changes and adjustments that allows for more comfort. Hands return, palms down to either thighs or knee space. We're going to utilize the entire spine to begin to take motion into the space above us. Large circular motion, as fast or as slow as you'd like. One more. And switch directions. One more. And return to center. We move onward to shoulder rolls. Shoulders rise towards the ears. They come back to pinch together the spine and gently fall down the back. Continue with that same circular motion at your own pace. Take two more. Return to center. Now visualize the crown of your head as a point of a pencil as we take next circles into the space above us. If you desire a pause or an additional breath along the way, please feel free to take it. Eyes can be open or closed. One more. Switch directions. And you may notice in the switching of directions that you may experience a change in sensation, a change in range of motion, and that's absolutely normal. Not only in this specific motion, but in nearly all movements, shapes, postures of yoga. One more time. And return to center. Great job. From our seated position, we'll now make our way into our initial shape for our practice. For today's exploration, we're going to take a couple of twists seated here on the ground, and then we're going to make our way into a supported child's pose, and then work into our final relaxation. Just to set the stage so you kind of have an idea of what's to come, which feels nice, right? Of like, okay, that's the game plan. I know I'm not going to do that or that, but that's okay. So, doesn't matter which side you begin with first because we are going to do both. Utilizing the edge of your mat or your towel or just an imaginary line in front of the body as a general guideline landmark that you're going to bring your front leg, whichever leg is forward to bring the shin parallel-ish to that line. I say ish because everyone's body and anatomy is different. So do what works best for you. Don't be too critical or hard on yourself of, well, Kelly said parallel, and you crank your body to force it into that specific shape. Because as I stated towards the start of class, restorative yoga is nourishing, right? Rounding, meant to move into a space of ease and comfort. And if we are forcing our body into a specific shape, that to me does not facilitate ease and comfort in the least bit. So parallel-ish to that long edge of your mat or space in front of you. I've got the outer edge of my foot down towards the ground. From here, I then bring my other leg directly up against that foot. Inner arch of this foot is down towards the earth. Okay, so we kind of have a visual of this is what the lower body is set up. Give or take based on what feels good for you, your anatomy. Now, utilize a large bolster or even a cushion from a couch or a chair. Can work quite nicely. Usually couch cushions are kind of large and firm, which is exactly what we want. Take that bolster or cushion and bring it directly up against that thigh hip space. You see I've got it right up against my body. Ensure your other props are within arm's reach so you can utilize them. Hang tight for just a moment, my friend.
I'm teaching a class right now, okay? So yeah, I'll send them down later, okay? All right,
I apologize for the interruption. For those who may have children that are tuning in, we are on summer break. So a lot of the neighborhood kids are stopping by, wanting to hang out and play, rightfully so. So back to our practice. I've got my front limb bent, back limb bent, large bolster propped up directly against my hip and thigh space. From here, I'm also going to just place this secondary bolster so I have a place to land for my upper body. Now, I currently have both of my shoulders pointed towards you, forward within my space. We are now going to rotate ourselves towards our props, okay? So shoulders come from facing forward to rotation towards props. Then begin to fold forward. And this is where you can make adjustments to your props and their placement however you need. You can fold as forward as you desire or stay a bit more upright. Forehead can come down. You can rotate your head one way or the other. I'm going to just stay rotated towards the camera just so we can stay connected to each other throughout the practice. And then we just hang out here. If you notice sensations that you would describe as pain or physical discomfort, make any adjustments needed to move into a location of ease and comfort for your body, right? We don't need pain. We're looking for rest, nourishment, and ease, and however that may present itself for you. It's so interesting, and just sort of like a quick reflection of the doorbell ringing of like how that is such a good representation of life in general, right? Yoga or otherwise, that you are like, I'm going to do this thing, X, whatever it is. And you get yourself all set up and you get all the things you need and you have the plan and you're like, okay. And then you're like, we're ready. And then what happens? Something interrupts it. Something may throw it off course. Maybe the plan changes completely, right? And as often as that happens, that gives us that constant opportunity to, okay, how am I going to move forward with this? What am I going to do from here? Right? Do you acknowledge the ringing of the doorbell? Right? Do we like make a point to say, okay, let me go take care of this and then I'll come back? Do we try to ignore it and hope it goes away? Human experience. Constantly changing and not going according to our plan or our projected plan or what our expectation is. And this is where the practice of yoga can be taken off of the mat, right? That it's great to have that designated time where we breathe and move, we make the shapes and we pause. But sometimes it's just not feasible to have a space or have yoga props. So how can we take what we experience today and bring that into our day-to-day actions? Something to ponder as we practice today. Take a few more rounds of breath. Now, as we move out of this shape, you may feel compelled to pop back up, move right out of this shape. However, I would encourage you to resist that urge, right? So, when it feels right, utilize the hands, if you had draped the upper body forward, to press through them to return yourself to an upright position. From here, we rotate our shoulders back towards center. Pause. Then begin to make your way out of the shape through the lower body. Perhaps you use hands to facilitate that, maybe you don't. And then take some gentle side-to-side motion of the legs. Hands can come behind the body if you desire. We just rotate from side to side. Return to center. Now we set up in the other direction. No need to turn your body all the way around. You can continue to face towards your screen. We're just going to switch sides. So utilize your front edge of your mat or towel or an imaginary line in front of the body as we bring our front shin parallel-ish to that space. Outer edge of the foot comes down to the ground. Then do the same thing with the other leg. Bring it right up against the bottom of that front foot. Knee is bent. Inner arch of the back foot comes down to the ground. Okay, so we've got that set up. You may have noticed during that lower body setup that I did move around my props to the other side because for myself, I already know I'm going to want those for some additional support. So if you really enjoyed how you set up yourself on the first side, perhaps you set yourself up in the same exact fashion on this side. And then as we come into it, if you need to make any adjustments, remove a prop. Now we see that. Large bolster comes to that outer hip thigh directly against you. So I've got full connection with this prop. I'm going to take my secondary prop and place it on top just so I have an option for my upper body. Now, shoulders face forward to start, then we rotate towards our props, and if you desire, begin to fold forward. Now, you can always shift the hips as needed. Hand placement is personal preference. If you did rotate the head, perhaps you rotate in the other direction, just for fairness towards the cervical spine. I'm going to rotate this direction, which does happen to be in the opposite direction from my head, so we can stay connected through this practice time. Eyes can be opened or closed. If you do decide to keep them open, perhaps you reincorporate in that curiosity as you just scan the space around you. You notice now. Maybe there's something you didn't notice previously. Soften the jaws. Peel the tongue from the roof of the mouth. And relax the face. Take a few more slow rounds of breath. When you're ready to come out, again, resist the urge to pop right back up. We take our hands and press through them to return the upper body upright. Rotate the shoulders back to center. Slide the props out. If needed, utilize the hands to unwind the lower body. Bring feet flat, knees bent, hands come behind you as we take that gentle windshield wiper motion again. Couple more times. And return to center. We now move into a supported child's pose. If you notice the space beneath you is rather hard, less than supportive for the joints of the body. Always an option to take a blanket or a towel and place that under the space where the knees would land. I notice for myself, as soon as I add that in, my body's like, ah, thank you so much. So don't be afraid to change things and explore it differently than you have in the past. Sometimes myself, just speaking from personal experience, that I can get in a rut of all of the things in the human experience. I really enjoy a schedule and I like routine. I thrive in it, but sometimes that can be detrimental, even in my yoga practice, that I am so used to doing a shape in a specific manner that I have to force myself out of that comfort zone of like, nope, let's try it this way. And finding more ease and comfort is one of those ways that you can explore it differently. So knees can either be wide or close together, your choice, big toes to touch or nearby as well. If you notice bringing your hips to your heels is rather uncomfortable for the knees or even the lower body, it's a great place to slide in a bolster between the heels and the hips. As we see, as soon as I do that, I increase the space of the angle in the flexion of the knees. So it's a larger angle, less pressure perhaps, more ease and comfort. Then if coming all the way down to the ground for child's pose doesn't feel great, either for the chest and the hips, or even for the forehead and the upper, anywhere within the upper body, you can utilize a secondary bolster. You may even desire to prop the distal end, so the end that's furthest away from the body, just so we have more comfort and ease when we make our way down to the space. Forehead can come down. I notice for myself, in this shape specifically, that if I have my forehead down, I prefer my face to float. Let me see if I can get it set up more like this, where my nose and mouth are not being shoved into a prop. So you can either do that if you want support just underneath the forehead, and then you can allow the face and the mouth to be open, or you can rotate the head one side or the other. Hand placement, again, personal preference. You can bring them all the way out front. You can add an ample bend into the elbows and bring them closer to the trunk. You can even bring the arms all the way by the sides. If you did utilize a larger prop between the hips and the ankles, you can come here and just rest your hands atop it. Multiple ways to explore it, and there's no wrong way to explore it either. So try it on, and if you come in and you're like, ooh, don't think so, guess what? Change it. Do something else. Don't do it at all. Soften the gaze towards the ground. Relax the face. Peel the tongue from the roof of the mouth. And soften the jaws. Take 5 unhurried rounds of breath. When it feels right, bring the hands under the shoulders. Press through the hands to lift the chest up. Remove any props you may have utilized for the upper body. Then begin to take out any props you may have utilized for the lower body. Going to move into tabletop, take a couple of cat-cows together, and then we'll set up for our final relaxation. Hands are wide under the shoulders, knees are under the hips. Toes can be tucked or untucked, totally your choice. From our neutral spine, we inhale for cow pose, drop the belly, gaze travels up. Exhale for cat, press the earth away from the chest. One more. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. Return to center. For our final relaxation, if you'd like, you can lie all the way down on the ground in a supine position, if that feels okay. If being completely supine doesn't serve your needs, always an option to utilize a bolster and a block. And I'm just going to show it here. I place that block and towards the distal end, which is furthest away from the body. It gives me that kind of reclined setup, which can feel quite nice for the upper body if lying completely supine just doesn't feel great for what you need. I am going to lie completely supine, and we're going to just spend the next bit of time allowing ourselves to just be and breathe, and how incredibly powerful that can be in and of itself. So I have a bolster for my lower body. I noticed for myself having a gentle bend in my knees feels quite nice for my low back. So perhaps you'd like to explore that with me. I also have my eye pillow close by. So if you have a hand towel or a washcloth that you can utilize, feel free to have that. I'm going to take my blanket and place that over me as well. Sometimes having a blanket over the body can really aid in those sensations of relaxation and ease and comfort. So begin to set yourself up in a fashion that you know you can stay in for a bit of time, just being and breathing. There will be a lull in my talking, and that's just to allow you an opportunity for some additional introspection. Sometimes as an instructor, I know that I like to talk a lot. And by me talking constantly, that continually impedes on your experience. So in knowing that, I'm going to spend the next bit of time being silent. I'm still going to be here. So allow yourself to drift and float wherever you desire. And then when you hear my voice, we're just going to gently be coming out of our relaxation and concluding our time together. Just so you're not alarmed if you're like, why isn't Kelly talking and your eyes are closed? You're like, what's going on? Is it over? Did she disconnect from Wi-Fi? Did she just end the class and not tell us? No, still here, still here. Okay, so lie all the way down. Place your eye bag or washcloth, hand towel over the forehead and eyes. If you do have a blanket, you can just cover your body however you like. Let us allow ourselves to just be and breathe for the next bit of time. Soften the jaws.
the tongue from the roof of the mouth. And relax the face. Take 10 more unhurried rounds of breath on your own here. After what feels to be your 10th round or so of breath, invite motion back into the body. Wiggle the fingers and toes. Take wrists and ankle circles. Extend hands directly overhead. Stretch in opposition, fingers to toes. Roll towards your right or left side. Utilize the hands to press yourself back upright. We return to a comfortable seated position to conclude our time together. Any shape that you desire, utilizing props or not. Bring hands to heart center as we take one deep cleansing round of breath together. Inhale, swoop the hands up. Open mouth, exhale, hands to heart center. Again, my name is Kelly Campbell, and I appreciate you joining me for this 30-minute restorative yoga practice brought to you by Warriors at Ease, Operation Remote Resilience. It has been my pleasure guiding you through practice, and I hope that you found ease, nourishment, and comfort through today's sequence. I look forward to seeing you again, my friends. Have a great rest of the day.